imagine you decide, like, you want to spend the next few decades sailing.
Okay.
So you go out and you charter this luxury yacht. You're paying top dollar month after month, year after year, just sailing around, living your life.
That's pretty nice, honestly.
Right, but here's the thing. You spend roughly three-quarters of a million dollars on this charter, and then at the end of 25 years, the trip is just over. You pull into the dock, you hand the keys back to the owner, and you step off the boat with absolutely zero equity to show for it.
Oh, wow.
You don't even own a life jacket.
Yeah. It sounds absurd when you frame it like that, but I mean, that is the exact financial reality for millions of people today.
Which is wild. And that brings us to the core of today's deep dive. Welcome in to the learner. Today, we are pulling apart a huge stack of educational materials from Coach Chat and New Home University, and we're looking at a single massive question.
Yeah, the big one.
Right. Should you keep renting or should you buy a new home? And looking at the math provided in these sources, the whole yacht analogy, it isn't an exaggeration at all.
No, not at all.
Let's say you are paying $2,500 a month in rent, which honestly is standard, if not low, for a lot of metro areas right now.
Yeah, definitely on the lower end for some places.
Exactly. So that is $30,000 every single year. Over 10 years, you've paid out $300,000. Over 25 years, $750,000.
It's staggering when you actually look at the math.
It is. You have literally just funded someone else's yacht ownership while your own housing costs just keep creeping up, due to inflation in the economy.
Right, and the sheer scale of that capital drain is it's massive. But because it happens incrementally, right, like a couple of $1,000s on the first of every month.
But it just feels normal.
Exactly, it just becomes background noise. People just accept it as the cost of existing. But, this deep dive isn't really just about real estate in a vacuum.
Okay, what is it about then?
It's an exploration of the fundamental mechanics of wealth building. It is really about how shifting the allocation of the money you're already spending, money you have to spend anyway, how that can completely alter your long-term financial trajectory.
Okay, well, let's unpack this a bit, because if the math is that undeniably bad for renters, which it is, why are so many people still trapped on the rental yacht?
Yeah.
The source materials actually point to a very specific psychological barrier that keeps people frozen. They call it the dream home fallacy.
Yeah, the dream home fallacy. The materials really highlight how our own cultural conditioning actually sabotages our financial progress here.
How so?
Well, we are fed this narrative from, a very young age that buying a house is this permanent, monumental life event.
Right, like you buy the house and that's it, you're done.
Exactly. Therefore, prospective buyers start believing that their very first home has to be their forever home.
Oh, I see.
Right. They want the flawless kitchen, they want the perfect neighborhood, the ideal layout right out of the gate.
Which is, that's incredibly expensive.
Exactly. And because they can't afford that perfect $800,000 home today, they just decide to keep renting until they can.
I get the hesitation, though.
Yeah.
A mortgage is typically a 30-year commitment. You are putting down a massive chunk of change. Like, why would you intentionally lock yourself into a 30-year contract on a house that isn't exactly what you want forever?
Well, because you aren't actually locking yourself in for 30 years. That's the fallacy.
Really?
Yeah, the strategy outlined in our sources, it fundamentally redefines the purpose of the first home. It shouldn't be viewed as the finish line at all.
Okay, what is it then?
It's a stepping stone. The materials suggest you actually only need to hold this first property for a very brief window, just 2 or 3 years.
Wow, just 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, just to unlock very specific financial mechanisms. You essentially have to divorce your emotions from the architecture, and start looking at the property simply as a financial tool.
A financial tool. Okay, so the expectation is not to raise a family and retire in this place.
Not at all.
It's just a temporary vehicle. But let me push back a bit here.
Go for it.
Moving is incredibly expensive. It's exhausting. And the closing costs on a house, they're no joke.
They really aren't.
So how does holding a seemingly random starter home for just 36 months generate enough wealth to justify the friction and the cost of moving again?
It all comes down to this concept of an incubation period.
Okay.
During those 2 to 3 years, there are 3 distinct growth factors that are working simultaneously in the background for you.
All right, what's the first one?
The first is neighborhood growth. The strategy heavily emphasizes buying into developing or transitioning areas.
Okay, so getting in early.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When you do that, you are riding a wave of new infrastructure.
Like commercial zoning and city planning, basically doing the heavy lifting for your property value?
Precisely. When a new grocery store anchors in a neighborhood, or new schools and parks are built, the desirability of that specific zip code naturally increases. Real estate appraisals are heavily influenced by proximity to these amenities. So, simply by sitting in the house while the neighborhood matures around you, the asset appreciates. You are capturing the upside of that urban development.
That makes total sense. It's like the Starbucks effect, right?
Yeah.
A coffee shop opens up down the street and suddenly your house is worth more money.
Exactly. That's a perfect example.
All right, so what is the second factor?
The second is equity building. And this is the direct antidote to that capital drain of renting we were talking about earlier.
Right, the yacht.
Yeah, the yacht. When you rent, 100% of your payment goes to the landlord's interest and profit. It's gone.
Right.
But when you own, a portion of every monthly payment goes toward paying down the principal balance of your own loan.
Even at the beginning. Because I've heard the first few years are mostly interest.
They are heavy on interest, yes. Even in the first few years of an amortization schedule, you are still forcing yourself to save money by paying down a portion of that principal. That equity becomes a foundational block of capital that you can tap into later.
So basically, even if the house doesn't skyrocket in value, you are still essentially putting money into an illiquid savings account every month instead of just setting it on fire.
Yes, exactly. And then the third factor is your personal financial growth.
Okay, what does that mean?
Well, over the course of 2 or 3 years, your personal economic profile changes. Your income might increase as you advance in your career.
Sure.
Your debt-to-income ratio might improve. But most importantly, your credit score usually sees a very significant boost.
Oh, because you're paying a mortgage.
Right. Credit algorithms heavily reward a consistent history of on-time mortgage payments. Plus, just navigating the realities of homeownership forces you to develop a kind of financial literacy you simply don't get as a renter.
Man, here's where it gets really interesting when you combine all of that.
Yep.
You have the neighborhood appreciating, your principal balance is dropping, and your personal credit profile is strengthening.
Yeah.
It's like you're putting your initial capital into a financial greenhouse.
A financial greenhouse. I love that.
Right. For 2 to 3 years, your money and your credit are safely incubating in there, completely protected from the harsh elements of rising rent prices.
That's a great way to conceptualize it. And, the whole point of a greenhouse is the harvest at the end, right?
Exactly.
After this 2 to 3 year incubation period, the source material outlines a very clear exit strategy. You now have powerful options that a renter simply does not have.
Which are?
Well, option 1, you can sell that stepping stone home, take all the equity you've built up from the appreciation and the principal pay down,
Yeah.
and you use it as a massive down payment for your actual dream home.
Oh, wow. So
Yeah.
you have essentially weaponized the starter home to fund the forever home.
Precisely. Or you execute the second option, which is arguably much more powerful for long-term wealth.
Okay, I'm listening.
You keep that first home, you move out, and you turn it into a rental property.
Oh, okay.
Now, a tenant is paying down the rest of that 30-year mortgage for you while you go out and buy your next home.
That's huge.
It is. This is the exact mechanical process that countless families use to build generational wealth. They don't buy 10 properties at once.
Right, I just do it one at a time.
Exactly. They buy one, live in it, outgrow it, and rent it out.
All right, well, let's look at the actual asset then. If you, the listener, are going to buy a stepping stone property to incubate your wealth, what kind of property are we actually talking about here?
That's a crucial question.
Because the Coach Chat and New Home University materials are very specific on this front. They heavily emphasize targeting new home communities.
Yes, they do.
They aren't suggesting you go buy a 100-year-old fixer-upper and spend your weekends doing drywall and plumbing.
No, definitely not.
They want you buying new builds. Why the specific focus on new construction?
It has to do with the unique economic levers that large-scale builders can pull. See, when you buy a resale home from an individual family, you're negotiating with people who need to extract every possible penny from the sale to fund their own next move, right?
Right. They need the cash for their new house.
Exactly. But when you buy from a massive corporate builder, you are dealing with an entity that needs to move inventory to satisfy shareholders and clear their balance sheets.
Ah, okay. That's a totally different dynamic.
Completely different. And because of that structural difference, builders offer incredible incentives.
Yeah, the sources actually list several of these incentives. Special pricing, closing cost assistance, low interest rate opportunities, and rate buy-down programs.
Right.
I really want to pause on those last two because they sound great, but the mechanics can be super confusing.
Yeah.
What exactly is a builder rate buy-down? Are they just like calling a bank and asking for a favor?
No, it's much more strategic than that. Builders often have their own in-house lending arms, or they have deep, deep partnerships with preferred lenders.
Okay.
So instead of dropping the sticker price of a house by, say, $20,000,
Which they wouldn't want to do.
right, because that would negatively impact the appraisal values of all the other houses they're trying to sell in that exact same neighborhood.
Oh, that makes sense. You don't want to tank the comps.
Exactly.
Mhm.
So instead of doing that, the builder takes some of their profit margin and pays it directly to the lender up front. This is called paying points.
Got it.
By paying this lump sum to the lender, they effectively buy down your interest rate.
Ah. So the sticker price of the house stays high to protect their neighborhood comparables, but your actual monthly payment drops significantly because they have subsidized your interest rate.
Exactly. And it could be a permanent buy down for the life of the loan or a temporary one, like a 2-1 buy down.
That's a 2-1 buy down.
That's where your rate is 2% lower the first year, 1% lower the second year, and then it normalizes in the third year.
Okay, but given that the strategy is to hold this home for just 2 or 3 years before potentially renting it out or selling a few,
Yes.
a temporary rate buy down perfectly aligns with your timeline.
Yes, exactly. You get rock bottom monthly payments during your entire incubation period.
That is brilliant. That
Yeah,
makes perfect sense. And then there's the closing cost assistance too.
Right.
For anyone who hasn't bought a house, closing costs are like the silent killer of real estate deals.
They really are. People are always shocked by them.
Right. You save up for a down payment and then suddenly you're hit with thousands of dollars in title fees and taxes and prepays.
Which is just an enormous barrier to entry for first-time buyers.
Mm-hmm.
Builders know this, so they will often offer to cover a large chunk or sometimes all of those closing costs if you use their preferred lender.
Wow. All of it.
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah.
It drastically lowers the amount of cash you need to bring to the table just to get the keys.
Not to mention the physical benefits of the house itself. The text mentions things like quick move-ins, energy-efficient construction, and modern floor plans.
Right. Those are great perks.
But I feel like the biggest factor for a short-term hold has to be the builder warranties.
Absolutely.
Like, if you're only living in this financial greenhouse for 36 months, a comprehensive builder warranty means you aren't coming out of pocket for, a new roof or a broken water heater or a failed HVAC system.
It completely de-risks the capital expenditures.
Yeah.
You have predictable, fixed housing costs for the entire duration of your incubation phase.
Which is huge for planning.
Huge. And our sources actually highlight several outstanding new home communities currently available in the region to execute this exact strategy.
Oh, really? Like where?
They point to Watershed by Lennar in Laurel,
Okay.
Watermark at Westphalia in Upper Marlboro by D.R. Horton, and the Brandywine and La Plata communities, which are also by D.R. Horton.
Nice. And the materials are careful to note that the best choice among these depends entirely on your personal goals and your commute, right? It's not a one-size-fits-all recommendation.
That's vital. A stepping stone home still has to function for your daily life during those 3 years. You actually have to live there.
Right, you can't just buy a spreadsheet. Okay, so knowing what to buy a new build stepping stone home is only half the battle. Knowing how to buy it is where the real money is made or lost.
Yes, and the source material has a very stark warning here.
It really does. It explicitly states that walking into a builder's sales office alone is one of the most dangerous financial mistakes a buyer can make.
To understand why, you have to look at the fiduciary dynamics at play.
Okay, lay it out for us.
When you walk into a beautifully staged model home, the sales representative sitting at the desk is usually incredibly friendly and helpful.
They always offer you a water or a cookie.
Right, but legally, they represent the builder. Their fiduciary duty, their professional obligation, is to protect the builder's bottom line, maximize the sale price, and get the contract signed on the builder's terms.
I always think of this like walking into a courtroom without a lawyer.
That is a perfect analogy.
Right. You are going up against seasoned professionals who negotiate these massive, complex contracts every single day, and you are just walking in off the street, totally unrepresented, without anyone contractually obligated to protect your interests.
It's a massive vulnerability. You wouldn't negotiate a multi-million-dollar corporate merger without legal counsel, and you definitely shouldn't sign a high six-figure real estate contract without representation either.
Right.
This is where the execution strategy comes into play, and where the sources introduce New Home University and Jubril Wilson.
Better known as Coach JB, right?
Yes, Coach JB. He is a realtor, and the materials detail exactly how his team operates as your dedicated representation.
So what does that representation actually look like in practice? Are they just like opening doors for you and showing you around?
No, it's far more strategic than that.
Yeah.
The team acts as a buffer and an advocate. First, they help you compare different communities objectively, analyzing the actual numbers rather than letting you fall in love with the smell of fresh cookies in a staged model home.
Which is very easy to do.
It is. And because they understand the builder's profit margins, they know exactly how to push back and negotiate to maximize those available builder incentives we just discussed.
And they know where the hidden money is.
Yes, they do.
Because the sources talk a lot about grant opportunities. It's one thing to get a builder to pay some closing costs. It's another to stack local or state grants on top of those builder incentives to reduce your out-of-pocket costs even further.
Exactly. Navigating the qualification criteria for various down payment assistance programs, it's like a labyrinth.
Oh, I'm sure.
A specialized team knows exactly which levers to pull. The material even mentions a very specific internal program, the NHU grant.
Oh, right.
According to the source, New Home University currently offers this grant to qualified buyers, ranging from $1,500 to $2,500, subject to their program guidelines and available funding, of course.
Which, might not sound like $1 million, but when you are trying to keep your cash reserves intact during a move, every single dollar matters. $2.5 grand is the difference between buying furniture for your new place or eating takeout on the floor for the first 6 months.
Exactly. It's all about lowering the barrier to entry so you can start incubating your wealth as soon as possible.
Okay, so let's zoom out and look at the whole board here. We have the math showing that renting is a $750,000 capital drain.
Right.
We have the mindset shift to the 2 to 3 year stepping stone strategy. We have the specific target, new builds with heavy builder incentives and warranties.
Yep.
And we have the execution team, Coach JB and New Home University, to navigate the contracts and stack the grants.
That's a solid plan.
It is. So with all of these mechanisms laid out so clearly, why do people still hesitate? Why do they stand on the dock and just watch the yacht sail away?
Well, this raises an important question. It almost always comes down to the fear of timing the market.
Ah, timing the market.
The final major concept our sources warn against is the danger of waiting for the perfect time. It's the incredibly common mindset of, I will just wait until next year to see if interest rates drop or prices cool down.
The wait-and-see approach, it sounds prudent on the surface.
It sounds prudent, but historically, it is deeply flawed. Think about the opportunity cost.
Okay.
What usually happens when next year actually arrives?
Yeah.
Home prices may have ticked up due to limited supply. Your rent has almost certainly increased.
Always does.
Interest rates might have changed unfavorably. And the most damaging part of all, an entire year has vanished.
Wow, yeah.
That is 12 months where you built zero equity. You paid another $30,000 toward your landlord's mortgage instead of paying down your own principal in your financial greenhouse.
The cost of waiting is literally tens of thousands of dollars in lost equity and paid rent.
People wait because they were looking for flawless economic conditions to buy their forever home. But if we return to the core strategy, you don't need to buy the forever home today.
Right.
You simply need to buy the right first home to act as the bridge. Perfect market conditions do not exist. Only strategic actions exist.
That is so well said, and that really brings the entire philosophy of the New Home University method into focus. The sources actually sum it up with a very specific order of operations.
Oh, right, the 4 steps.
Exactly. Education comes first, then strategy, then home ownership, then wealth. You cannot jump straight to wealth, and you really shouldn't jump into home ownership without the education and the strategy acting as your foundation.
It is a very deliberate, structured pathway, and it's designed to mitigate risk while maximizing your leverage.
So if you are listening to this right now and you are ready to stop funding someone else's yacht, the call to action from our sources is incredibly straightforward.
Yep, it's pretty simple.
Visit newhomeuniversity.com. Schedule a complimentary consultation. You don't have to commit to buying a house today, but you do need to start the education process.
Just get the information.
Right. Ask them to break down the current builder incentives in communities like Laurel or Upper Marlboro. Ask them how to navigate local grant opportunities. And make sure to ask if you qualify for that NHU grant of $1,500 to $2,500. A 20-minute conversation today is the first step in altering your financial trajectory for the next 20 years.
Surely.
So what does this all mean? We've covered a massive amount of ground today, transitioning from the crushing math of renting to the technical execution of builder rate buydowns. But as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to turn it over to you for a final thought.
Okay.
Based on the underlying logic of everything we've just discussed, what is a new way our listeners should look at the world when they walk out their front door tomorrow?
Well, if you follow the mechanics of this stepping stone strategy to its logical conclusion, it requires a pretty profound shift in how you view your own identity.
How so?
The ultimate goal here isn't just to buy a house and sit in it. The strategy involves eventually keeping that first home, turning it into a rental property, and having a tenant pay down that mortgage while you move on to your next property.
Right.
So what if you stopped viewing yourself merely as a future homeowner and started viewing yourself right now as a future real estate investor, preparing to manage a micro portfolio?
Oh, wow. That's a huge mindset shift.
It is. How does that shift in identity change the way you look at the neighborhoods you drive through today? You aren't just looking for a cute street anymore.
No, you're looking at the data.
Exactly. You are analyzing zoning, infrastructure, and future rental yield.
That changes the lens entirely. You stop looking at real estate as just a place to store your stuff, and you start looking at it as an active engine for wealth.
Exactly.
It's time to stop chartering the yacht, build your financial greenhouse, and start captaining your own ship. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, and we'll catch you next time.